Hey, welcome back, you magnificent bastards. We're doing a starter series for flight sims. I was on Reddit talking to somebody, and they were wondering about ATC and GPS flight plans. My ATC program's not working, so I'm just going to ignore that. Normally, you'd get clearance for your IFR flight plan. You request taxi from ground. They would route you to the runway. They transfer you to tower. Tower would clear you for takeoff. Once you take off, they'd be transitioned to departure, and then from there to center, and then there to arrival, and then arrival to tower, and then back to ground as you land. And depending on where you're landing, departure, arrivals, and centers are usually the main airports in the area. If you're landing somewhere like this, usually you'd never be routed to departure or arrival. You just go straight to center, and then when you get close to your next destination, your landing airport, being a small airport, they just tell you they get you lined up for the runway, and they'd cancel IFR, and you'd have to go on Unicom and talk to the other airplanes, make sure no one's there. But we're not going to do that right now. This isn't an ATC thing. This is a GPS thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly a VFR flight plan. Should be a VFR flight where we're going to the town up north of here. We just normally follow the highway up. But this is the route we're going to fly. We have taken off. We're going to take off from Owatonna, Kilo Oscar Whiskey Alpha. We're going to fly over to the, that's still set, to the arrival, or approach, RNAV 30, and we are going to fly in to land on this runway right here. Okay, you got SIDS and stars. SIDS is departures, which where you take off and draw a line to leave to get to like a high altitude airway or a vector airway. Airliners really follow that. We're not going to do that. An approach to the runway is here. An arrival is just an extension to that. It goes farther out. And we don't have an arrival for where we're going to land. If you were to enter departure and destination in the GPS, it would just draw a straight line between these two. But we already have this programmed in, so it's already, I got a flight plan. As you can see, I was having issues, so we're going to go to map, delete aircraft trail. I was in the stock 172, and it has dual 530s. If you have dual 530s, use the top one, use the more advanced one, and don't touch the other one, which the secondary is what this is going to use. It was causing issues and it just wasn't working. But we filed a flight plan. We're leaving KOWA and arriving at Faribault, KFBL. And we're doing an approach for 30 through Jinko, Cordy, all these. These little things are made up points for GPS, all these triangles. Now, like this right here, this is a VOR DMEs. You can enter them in, like FOW, you can enter them in after you enter your departure, and then enter your arrival in after that point. And you can follow these if you want to follow a certain route, like long distance, right? You can enter those in and customize your en route. But since this is such a short flight, we're not going to do it en route. We're going to fly directly to our approach from our destination airport. This program is called Little Nav Map. It's free. It works with FSX and X-Plane. I highly recommend it. You can go like flight plan, calculate low altitude, calculate high altitude, calculate direct radio nav. It's an incredible program, and if we click on this, which it is, it'll actually follow the airplane through your entire route, which I'm going to have on the second monitor. Right now we need to fire up this plane. We're going to cheat. This is a turboprop. This is a Cessna Caravan. I'm going to start all engines to running. We're just going to do this. Turn the parking brake on. Flight plan. Come on, flight plan. It's already in there. We're going to clear it out. Boat. Clear, enter. Okay. You got SID, stars, arrivals, and vector airways. Vector airways, which are high altitude airways when it comes to flight planning. High altitude airways and departures are things airliners use. High altitude airways are the big white lines in the sky between major airports, and it's just something ATC has you follow so they know where the airliners are going to be. My air traffic control program is broken right now, so we're not going to use it. My pilot to ATC, I can't get it to work. It's an SQL error. I've been talking with Dave, the guy that actually made the program. We can't figure out why it's not working, so I'm just going to run you through a little bit as we go. But this is the GPS thing. Our destination airport, we got to enter. Our departure airport, we need to enter first. You got to remember, we got clicky buttons. Flight plan goes between this and our destination right now is our departure. Oh, and that's, yeah, flight plan goes between the two. And for some reason that loaded up and it's correct. But what we're going to do is we're going to hit clear, enter to clear that out. Okay, KOWA is already in because that's where we are. You need to remember, you have clicky buttons, which is the center. You got this over here, which is the thing. This is for the radios. But you got clicky. You got inner spinny, outer spinny. Click button, inner dial, outer dial. That's important. You click this, it deselects. You click it again, it highlights it. And the middle is edit. Once it's highlighted, the outer is move. We're going to go down to the outer with the outer dial, or right. And then we're going to go to the inner dial and click boom. Okay, it's already on K, so we go to the outer dial to move out and we go back to the inner dial, and it's alphabetized. Go to F, then the outer dial, to move to the next one, and then we go to the inner dial, and we go to B, okay, and then outer dial, and then we enter L. And the farther you get, the smaller the selection is, because it only goes to the, there we go, possible entries. KFBL Fairbolt. We hit enter, accept, enter. It's asking us to accept, so we hit enter. Okay, and then like I said, the scroll is the outer, so go back up to KFBL. It's highlighted. We hit procedures, this button right here. We're going to select the approach that we had on the fucking menu. We hit enter. RNAV 30 GPS. Boom. On the outer dial, there's a scroll down. Enter. Vectors, yes, these are something else. These are arrivals. And you hit enter. It asks you to load or activate. You can activate or you can load. Activate will skip the next step, but we're not going to, and then you hit enter. But we're going to go to load and enter to show you how to do it otherwise. Okay. We hit flight, we're back here. We hit flight plan again. Destination is here, and there's our destination. The little purple arrow is our destination. What we do is we scroll down. Nope, fucked up, so I hit flight plan again. Nope. God damn it. Clear, okay. Outer scroll wheel, all the way down to Lidsey, which is the first part. If you look over here, Lidsey, that's it. And then we go to Jinko, and then Zolik, and then the final part of the runway. Oh, and this area here, disable this. Oops. This dotted line, this is missed approach and pattern. So once that's highlighted, this first step in the approach, you hit enter. Actually, you don't hit enter. I fucked that up. That's highlighted. This D with the arrow through it is direct to. We click that. It asks us to activate. We hit enter S, and there we are, Lindsay. And there we are. We approach R30, Kawa to KFBL. Now we have a OBS button that doesn't do anything. We have a CDI here. VLOC is radio, right? Or ILS, which we are not going to do on ILS. You click the CDI. Right now our nav equipment is set, VLOC is set to listen to radios for autopilot. We click this to GPS. Now our autopilot is set to listen to the GPS. And this is the Carinados Caravan, so what we're going to do is we are going to turn on our weather radar. We're squawking 1200. And this is our autopilot right here. We're gonna deal with that in a second. Normally you contact departure, get your IFR clearance. This is an IFR flight plan. Normally VFR, if we click flight plan, it'll bring us back to, there, we click flight plan again. See, we got this list. Click flight plan, and there we are. That's what you want up. And you can see it down here. Normally, this would be a VFR flight. You just use direct to. You wouldn't put the approach in. You just, once the first step where the two airports were listed, you'd highlight KFBL or whatever it is. Yeah. And you do the direct to, and it would give you a direct line between this airport and this airport, and you'd use that as a reference. And you just fly manually. But we are doing an approach. So, you see the little pointer, the little bar up here. We're going to turn right. To follow it. Here we go past 5-7. We're going to intersect it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to hit Alt and Nav on the autopilot and engage the autopilot and let go of the stick. Alt just maintains current altitude, which it's working its way back to. Nav should follow this when we get to the, if I'm yelling, it's because the engine's loud. When we get to this, it should turn left and follow the line. There we go. We're going to hit flight plan again. Kawa to KFBL. This is our first destination, second, third, and then after that it'll be the runway. Hit flight plan. There we go. And we just wait. We're coming up on Lindsay, and we should, once we hit it, we're a minute and a half away, distance 4.1 miles now. We should turn left to a heading of 307 degrees. Again, we do not have to do an approach to this. We can do a direct GPS. It'll take us the same way directly to the airport. We'll fly over and we can land visually if we wish. However, the approach from this direction, I picked this approach, there's multiple approaches per runway. You can program them in using little nav map. It has them all. It just lines us up. And here we are. We're crossing over. It's all autopilot. I'm not touching a thing. Lindsay to Jinko. You can already see the lights out there. And after we hit Jinko, we're going to be in the ILS range, although we're not doing ILS right now. Jinko is the final approach where you start to descend. No, wait, it's not. I'm sorry. Zolik is the final before we get there. And VNav doesn't work on these planes. VNav is an auto descend thing. It's complicated. On airliners with an FNC, which we're not covering yet, it should be automatic. With Zibo it works, others it doesn't. The TBM has direct VNav that works, which we're going to use on the trip back to show the G1000. But we're not going to use it. VNav is a completely different thing. Right now we just need to know what altitude we need to be at. Right now, although you can't see it, we are following the flight plan line. We're coming up on Jinko here. I'm looking at the other monitor. Here, I'll bring it over. We flew here, we hit that, we turn left. We're going to come up on Jinko, Zolik, and then the runway. And we switched over to Zolik, which you can see. And once we cross Zolik, we're on autopilot. We're going to land, so we're going to throttle back. Get into safe flat range. Up. Ah, I fucked up. Nav, there we go. Yep, apparently my bindings aren't right. Okay. Settings. Throttle. Yep, I switched autopilot. Landing gear. Flaps, that's my flaps button. We're way high, right? Runway 30, right? Okay, we're way high. That shouldn't happen. But it says runway 30, so we're going to, we're super high. So we're gonna dive for the runway. But yeah, I messed up my bindings and I switched autopilot. The veer off shouldn't have happened. We're gonna go full flaps. We're gonna do a little bush maneuver, pilot maneuver here, and we're gonna land. But yeah, see, it still is taking us towards runway 30, and if we had an ILS dialed in for nav 1 for the ILS, we hit the CDI to VLOC and the ILS would bring us in. Yeah, you can see 9, 8, 7, 6. We're low. Using rudder. It's acting like it's windy, but there shouldn't be any wind. There's not any wind. I'm really half-assing this. I'm really half-assing this, don't judge me. Oh god, that was actually a really smooth landing. Holy shit. And if you were to miss the approach, reverse engine, the autopilot would go into the hold. But that, other than that little hiccup because I hit the wrong button, which, let's raise our flaps. That's how the GPS took us directly to this airport. And something's broke. Now wait. But now we're just gonna taxi to parking and blah blah blah, right? Flight configuration. Okay, where's the TBM? We're going to fly back using a high-end, one of the best G1000s in X-Plane 11 with the TBM. And while we're on the loading screen, you know when I highlighted the destination hit procedures to get the arrivals or the approaches? If you choose arrival, you pick the arrival and then it'll ask you the approach after that. So the approach is just a shorter version of an arrival. If you highlight the departure airport that you're at and hit procedures, it will ask you to select a departure. It's just that we didn't have a departure because it's a GA field, General Aviation Municipal Airport. And the only people that do departures or even arrivals, to be honest, are airliners. General Aviation, like we're in, you fly direct to a approach, if you're doing IFR. VFR, if you program anything, you just do direct airport to airport and use it as a reference. That was already programmed in, but we're going to have to program a new flight once this loads. And we're back with the plane we're going to fly back with. It's the TBM 900 by Hot Start. If you are into general aviation, this is an expensive pay-war plane. However, it's the best general aviation airplane by far you can get for X-Plane 11. It's study wear. It's difficult to use, but it is quality-wise, nothing compares to it. That flight out here was a little quick. The reason it was a little quick was I was having severe issues getting the autopilot to work on the Cessna 172 that I was going to use. And I reverted back to the Caravan that I'm used to flying that I knew would work. Sometimes X-Plane 11 screws up, right? But we're going to do a little bit of a recap before we go back. That GPS does not give you a graphical layout of the flight line. You just have to trust that you're going in the right direction. It just gives you the little bit of a line. There's no moving map, right? So we're going to do a little bit of recap. This plane has a moving map. What we have here is, let it load. This is a VFR chart of where we are. This is Faribault. That's all autonomous. This is real world, mind you. Zoom out. This is a VFR chart. Faribault, right? Got the current weather. You actually use SkyVector to plan real world flights. What's this big fucking... What's this? Holy shit, I don't know what that is. But, there's Minneapolis area. What we're going to do is... We got World VFR. We got MSP area, which is this area. En route. Yeah. World low. We got this world high. All these lines, right? These are high altitude airways between major airports. Mason City, Owatonna. Okay, here's KMSP, which means Faribault should be right here. Yeah, we're right here. These J's, these Victor Airways, Q, these are, see, they're all coming in here, and we got these are high altitude airways. These are what jets follow. I've never, you can program these into a GPS. You may have to have an FMC, which is a completely different version. Zoom way out. Oh, broke it. You got across, you got all these lines. These are high altitude airways. That's something we're not going to bother with, right? You can't, departure usually run, like from taking off here from Duluth, usually it routes you around, and let's say we're going to go to, what is this? Seattle? No, it can't be Seattle. Whatever this is, this airport over here. Sault Ste. Marie. It circles, you take off this, it'll circle you around out of the area, and it'll take you back to this line. That's what a departure's for. It takes you over a safe area and takes you to a route to this line. And then when you get close, like around here, you hit the approach, which juts you off to the arrival, and you land. Although about the time you get to here, ATC's like, nah, fuck that. We're gonna vector you, turn heading, blah blah blah, and that's how that works. But actually, flight configuration, it is not bright enough out. Apply. It's just dark. We are going to remove the wheel chocks, payload, take these off, close the door, fuel caps, and you can, with this plane, is it full? We're gonna fill it up. You can take off the fuel caps off and lose fuel. It's fucking crazy. But there we go. We're gonna close that. Go into this mode. This plane is incredible, right? But we're going X69. It remembers everything, so that's why I created a new one. This is the plane I'm using on the world trip. The reason the world trip's on hiatus because I have to fly from Egypt to the United Arab Emirates, and it's, oops, that's the wrong button. Let's close that. And it's a very long flight that I just don't want to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove this, right click, delete. Instead of deleting this, we're going to put this to destination. So I believe we can do that. Show. No, we're just going to delete it. Vote. Okay, this is our map. This is actively following. Like you can see the flight plan. This is what we did. Oh, God damn it. This is auto follow turn off. This is the Class B airspace from Minneapolis up here. I can turn that off. We took off from Owatonna. I turned manually over. And we flew up to the intersection, which is this one, the Lindsay. It turned early. And we followed Jinko. And that's when fucking I hit the wrong button and it veered off course. But this should be a straight line to Zolek to 20th, whatever it is, didn't show up. And then to the runway. And that's where we landed. So map, delete aircraft trail. What we're going to do is we're going to right click Fairbolt and set as departure. We can add Fairbolt Muni to flight plan. We can append. We're going to set airport Muni KFBL as flight plan departure. We are figuring out a flight plan right now. This is how flight plans work. Each airport has a 4-digit identifier. K is America, then FBL is Fairbolt, right? Like LAX. LA is KLAX. Every airport has an identifier. KOWA is Owatonna. You have, other than that, you have like the SIDS, the stars. The star is an arrival, but the approach is the shorter version. I just remember AR from star as arrival, and SID, the D, is departure. I don't know what it stands for. That's just how it works. And then you also have VORs and DMEs. These little triangles here, these are made up things. These are completely made up. RNAV. RNAV is GPS. Remember that. An RNAV approach is a GPS approach. You have VORs and DMEs, which are going to be on this map, and I still have other planes. Didn't disable them. I'm not sure where they would be on here. These are all GPS silly things, but VOR is a omnidirectional radio station. DME is a distancing measuring equipment, is what DME stands for. VOR probably stands for Vectors Omnidirectional Radio, I would assume, but I'm not sure. There are things that you use your OBS with. Full radio. RNAV, radio nav. See, that's confusing. RNAV and radio nav aren't the same thing. RNAV is a GPS approach. I don't know why they just don't call it GNAV. I don't know. It's freaking stupid. But you can enter both on here and in your GPS. VORs and DMEs have identifier letters. Like when you enter your departure, before you enter your destination, and then from the destination select the approach stuff, you can enter the identifiers for, you can also do it with these too, but you can, for the VOR stuff, and the GPS will just take you to it. You don't have to use your radio, the GPS, if you want to follow a certain route around to somewhere, like if we were flying up the coast and we wanted to follow a certain way, and most people in real life actually do that. You can also, like Charg, is say in Dahl or whatever over here, if we wanted to follow these GPS coordinates, which are just arbitrarily placed in the world, it seems like, but you can enter those in and it will make a line from boom, 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 and you can customize the route. But we're not going to do that. We're not getting super complicated. Okay, what we want to do is we want to fly back. This is to Owatonna Digner. So in this program, we right-click, little nav map, set Owatonna Digner as flight plan destination, and bam. If we and all this shit down here, it's complicated. This is the distance. See if I highlight it; it shows where it is on the map. If you enter the like altitude, if you enter the plane settings like the cruising speed and altitude, it'll give you where the top of descent is and all that fun stuff. But that's like very high level, right? So we're not going to do that right now. But if you were to enter just these two things, KFBL to KOWA, Kilo Foxtrot Bravo Lima to Kilo Oscar Whiskey Alpha, that's called the phonetic alphabet, by the way. Google phonetic alphabet. You'll want to learn that. Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf EFGH Hotel India Juliet Kilo Lima Mike November Oscar Papa Quebec Romeo QRST Tango Uniform Victor VXYZ X-Ray Yankee Zulu. I learned that when I was in the military, and the FAA just happens to use the same phonetic alphabet as the military. Just Google the phonetic alphabet or the FAA alphabet. That'll probably get you the result quicker, and memorize it. It's not that hard. It might take you 15 minutes, but you'll get it. It's pretty simple. Once you memorize it, you never forget it. I only memorized it once, and I've never forgot it. Other than that, as far as letters, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9er, and 0. You don't say O. That's Oscar, right? The reason 9 is 9er because 9 sounds like 5, right? On a radio. Also, when people say 3, they tend to say tree, as in the wood thing with leaves. Because the S's and for some reason get static, and people say tree. If you ever notice that, like 332, you'll hear them say tree 2. That's, some people do it, some people don't. It's an old thing. Some people still do it. But if you hear someone saying tree instead of 3, that's not wrong. But if you were to enter the this and this instead of destination for Kawa in the GPS, it would create this line. This is a direct 2. And this is what you do if you, in real life, if you even did this, because it's such a short distance, we'd fly VFR and follow the highway, right? But out of habit, you just enter these two things in to make this direct line. Once you got close, you'd like, oh, I'm going to land here. I'm going to circle around. And this green line here is the GPS. ILS CAT, it gives the frequency, 109.55. And you hit the approach button, and autopilot brings you down to the runway. We're going to fly it manually. We're not going to do an ILS approach in this video, but that's what this green thing means. It means that's an ILS runway. RNAV does the same thing, but with GPS, and sometimes you have to manage altitude manually, sometimes you don't. It just depends on if VNAV works in the plane that you're using. The Zibo 737 VNAV works. This plane, the TBM, it works, but it's more of a direct 2 thing. It's hard to use, but it does work. So, we are going to go, since we are not going to do a departure, because it would be ridiculous. I'm not even 100% sure if, nope. So what we're going to do is KFBL, I'm going to right click this, show procedures should be on here somewhere. Let's try it over here. Right click. You got a traffic pattern, which you can show. Cancel. KFBL. Show range, display. Procedures. Approach, VFR, approach. These are all the approach. Transitions. A transition is kind of the same thing as an arrival. It's complicated. It uses a VOR. Yeah. KFBL. Procedures. There's no departure. Okay. So we go to air. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Go on. Show information. There we are. KOWA show arrival procedures. Okay. We want to land at this runway. We're just going to there's no wind, so this is the main runway. We're going to choose this one because it's the ILS runway. It is runway 30. So we're going to come over, we're going to go approach ILS, because just for the hell of it, we're going to zoom out, because RNAV and ILS are going to pretty much be the same. Yeah, there's the missed approach, but we're going to do ILS just for the fuck of it. Holy hell. Transition full, right? That's the transition from all the way up here. Holy shit. Yeah, from the cities. We got the initial fix, which is LJ. You know, let's just try RNAV. Initial fix. DeWar. Since we're not using ILS, let's do it. Okay, here we go. Ignition full, right? Transition full. Transition full from the south. You might think you want to do this one because we're coming from this direction. These are published, by the way. We got a circle. We're not going to do that. We're going to do... You know what? This is a VOR. This is a VOR right here. But that's too far away, so we're going to do initial fix. I'm going to right-click this, and we are going to insert approach RNAV 30 Bobby into flight plan. Boom. And there's our flight plan. We're going to take off. We're going to manually intercept this. I mean, yes, we're going to try to take off on runway 12 would make sense. So we're going that direction and take off this way. We might not. We might circle around. But with this plane, I know it works. We hit nav. It'll circle around, intersect this line to leave. It's going to follow this line. And yes, the airport's down here and the proper way to go. And that's why I'm saying if this was a real world, we just fly straight south and follow the highway, right, and come here. But but this is short term. Normally, these two airports are way farther apart. This is just for training purposes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out of our way, and this sharp turn might be an issue. We'll see. Normally, this approach would be like if you're coming off from like fucking way over here. Right, like way over here, you intersect this. Like if you were flying in from Chicago, you'd fly over, you intersect this, and bam, right? But we're coming from this direction. This isn't a normal. In the real world, you would never see this, but we're doing it just for the fuck of it, right? We're gonna intercept this, and then we're gonna fly in. And here's the runway, and then the missed approach is come out here. Altitude 1,345 feet, and then come out here, and then you do the circle pattern before you just go from there. But this is the flight plan we're going to file, and I'm going to keep this on the second monitor, and we're going to enter it in. This plane, we're going to just turn the GPU on. Oh God, thank God. Okay, and we're going to turn this on. Battery, GPU. And this is a study-wear aircraft, so we have to set to this. I'm going to get rid of the yoke. And here's the GPS. Boom. This is a G1000. And there's a button that I have. There we go. Normally, under lower quality airplanes, you'd use the radio dials and the clicky bits, which is over here, FMS. But we have the fortune of having a pad. So, flight plan. Oh my god. Lindsay. Oh my god, I fucking remembered. That's weird. We're going to hit clear. Enter. Clear. Ah, fuck. Clear, enter. Clear, enter. Clear, enter. Clear, enter. Okay. Still, these are the two dials. Inner, outer, clicky bit, which I did do that, right? So we're going to go out. Okay, KFBL is selected because we're there, right? I'm going to click the center, go outer ring to down, go inner ring, and you could do it this way, but what we're going to do is we're going to use the keypad, and we're going to type in K-O-W-A, Kawa, Minnesota. Enter, enter. There we go. That created a direct line to it, like it did on the fucking little nav map. We go outer ring back to bring it, and this right here, that's VNav thing, which we're not going to deal with. So you have to go back to highlight this, and then we hit the PROC, which is right here, procedures. Select approach, not arrival. There's no departure because we're, you know, if this is highlighted, you could do departure, but there's none. Approach is selected, so we hit enter. It's RNAV 30? Yes, RNAV 30. So go outer ring for the scroll, down to RNAV 30, GPS LPV, hit enter. Vectors, okay, Cordy, what's on the screen? KF Duor Bobby Follick. Novice. The first one on there is DEWOR on the flight plan, and we see that. We're going to cycle down outer ring to select that, because that's our way of knowing that's the one we're selecting, and hit enter. Flight course reversal, no. Enter, enter, enter. Okay, Bobby, Follick, DeWar. Okay, good. We're there. I'm hitting flight plan. Okay, it circles around and boom, there we go. I'm not sure what that was, where it's like fly reversal and like, no, and it worked. So now that that's entered, we didn't activate it, we just loaded it. So we're going to hit the flight plan. Then we're going to use the outer ring, which is here. Double check. Okay, outer ring. You need to click. There we go. Right click. DeWar. There we go. The first part. We could still fly direct by highlighting this and going direct to, and it would ignore this, right? And you can do that on a long distance, and then you can switch and then go direct to this. Although you're better off to go highlight the first part. And just to be fair, we're going to go like here. Oops. Yeah, the feet, that, I hit enter, this is VNAV stuff. Ignore that. We're not going to bother with that right now. These can't be changed. 3000 is default. I just confirmed it, but it's blue now. But you highlight the first part of the approach, which is DE Delta Echo Whiskey Oscar Romeo, and you hit enter. Actually, no, wait, we don't hit enter. Sorry, we hit the direct to button. Goddamn. Boop. It asks to activate. Whenever it asks you a question and it's highlighted, you hit enter. Boom. There. See, the blue line, the purple line is on door, is going to take us to the first point. And then we hit FPL for flight plan again, and there we are. And it is track north right now. This whole time, north is up. I prefer track the way the plane's pointing, but I don't remember how that works, right? There's a way to do it, but it's complicated. And there we are. You can actually see the flight plan as filed in the screen. This plane's fine though. We're going to disable the, yes, I know. We're going to switch it to battery. We're not going to do a GPU start. Okay, AP trim's on, auto. Can overrev the motor. Oh. Ah, fuck me. I forgot to put a notch of flaps in. There we go. And pilot to ATC is still going, so, not pilot to ATC, 124th. Stop plug in. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. And we are climbing out and away. There's the line. That's about where we need to be. Altitude, we're not going to get too high. So, Alt, Nav, autopilot engaged. Okay, we're pointed at the line. We've got Nav and Alt. Turn to approach. Oh wait, autopilot on. There we go. Alt. Okay, let's see what happens. As we come up on the line. Sometimes if you're completely off, it just won't work. You gotta get it manually lined up. And there we go. It's following the line. Okay. We want to make sure that yaw dampener is on, but we want to make sure that, okay, bank's not enabled. The bank button limits the bank angle. There we go. We're on the purple line down to Dewar Delta Echo Whiskey Oscar Romeo. You can see it on the screen to the right. It's also telling you GPS, AP, yaw dampener, alt, to Dewar, 8.6 miles bearing. And then you got GS, the ground speed, direction we should be going, the direction we are, ETA 2 minutes to the next waypoint. The GPS is smart enough, you see that? It's smart enough to create a loop since it's such a sharp turn. And the airport's off to our right. Somewhere out there, way out there. That's one thing I like about the Hot Start TVM 900. Google it. It corrects for that. It's going to create a leg here, a little circle around because it's such a sharp turn. It's going to turn at the war and circle around to Bobby all the way around. It created its own flight path plane to it. Here we go. I don't know why it turned left, but here we go. We're going to circle around, intersect Bobby. Again, this is 100% autopilot. I am not touching anything. You can fly this manually and just follow the, you can turn flight director on, which is that purple thing. I got it off right now. And you can fly this manually with that up on the screen, but this is 100% autopilot. And we could do an ILS. We could easily do an ILS. And not touch the joystick until like 500 feet above the runway. However, we are going to manually land this. So ILS is a little bit too much right now, so we're going to focus on that later. It's a little too much information. I love the red stitching, though. I love the red stitching on the dash. And you see we're coming up on the purple line. We're at the edge of that purple line on the right screen here. That's Bobby. Actually, no, it's not. It's just where it intersects. Okay. I'm looking at it. The little nav map, the program I planned this with, it's showing this to. It's showing the plane move. Live, because I got it linked with the flight sim. It's basically like an iPad. It's not really cheating. It's like having an iPad. So, in real life. Once we hit that, we're going to turn left. Yeah, here we go. We're turning left. There's the runway out in front of us. Been a while since I've flown this, so excuse me if I'm entering things at the wrong. We got the highway in the sky button blocks on the screen. There we go. If you look in the left screen, you got the purple boxes, and that's the proper path to follow. It's been a long time. It's late. I am going to mess. I'm not going to be perfect. Don't judge me right now. I've actually been drinking whiskey a little bit. It's okay. We got the Vassie. We've got one red. A little high, but not much. There's the highway. And touchdown. Flaps up, and there we go. Okay, the only difference between that short flight and a transcontinental flight, other than like VNAV, if that's a thing for you, if the plane you're flying. And there's more to it with this too. This plane has an FLC mode for climbing speed versus airspeed and all that, but it doesn't matter. The first part, you get lined up with the thing and you fly it. The only part about it that would change on a very long flight, like if you were actually going somewhere, is top of descent. It would be where you start to descend. If programmed in properly to the little nav map, it will tell you where that point is. Also, if using air traffic control, whether it be a proper one, like the one I like that doesn't work, or 1/24th, or VATSIM, ATC will tell you descend and maintain blah blah blah, and you just do it. But basically what we were doing was we were flying VFR rules with a flight plan programmed in that would normally be an IFR flight plan, which is a normal thing people do. It's not uncommon for people to fly VFR, but set up their flight computer or the GPS as if they were flying IFR, and just use it and just not tell the controllers that, yeah, I'm following this. And they just go VFR. You know, that's what we did. Obviously, we didn't hear from ATC because it's not turned on, but that's how that works. There is a third version. We covered the G530 and the G1000. There is an FMC FMS, like the things that jets use, and the Beechcraft, God, what is it? Keen Air, the new Keen Air 500, whatever the hell it is, uses an FMC as well. That it works on the same principle, but it's not easy to use. It's actually very difficult. I hate FMCs. I know the basics, but I'm still learning to get used to them. But we'll cover that at a later date. The ATC, if we can try to teach it, I can maybe try to get Pilot to ATC to work. If you want to know how Pilot to ATC works, you want a really good explanation of it, watch my last world trip video with this plane, the TBM, when I'm flying into Egypt. It handles it very well, and the ones before it. I didn't start using Pilot to ATC till later on, but the last trip I took off IFR and I canceled IFR clearance to land, and then I went VFR and told them where I was, and watch those. It'll give you a very good idea of how air traffic control works. It's so unbelievably good that the fact it's not working makes me not want to play X-Plane 11, to be honest. But if you have any questions, my Reddit buddy that actually subscribed to my channel because I said I needed to start doing this, and this is for you. This is why I'm doing it. It took a while. We've got a lot of weird shit going on. If you have any questions, let me know. More than happy to explain things. But basically, GPS is just an artificial line in the sky that you program the plane to follow. That's really all. That's what a flight plan is. Sometimes it's physical objects, sometimes it's not. But we're going to shut this plane down. This plane sounds amazing. I love this plane. You can actually hear the pinging from the motor. But yeah, this plane is incredible. It remembers everything. Tire wear, oil use, everything. It's incredible. That's why it says X69 on the side. Because I did not want to use the same plane to do the world trip with. It keeps track of engine wear, brake pads, everything. It's an incredible aircraft. But hopefully that explains how the GPS and filing flight plans works. Normally it would be a much farther route, and altitude would come into play. But that's how it's entered in the G1000 and was it 530 or whatever. That's how it's entered in. As far as GPS doesn't. ATC. As far as ATC is concerned, it doesn't matter unless you're running aftermarket ATC of some kind or flying online. ATC is bullshit. ATC doesn't matter. It's a very complex thing. I know it, but it's very complex. It takes a very long time to learn. And it's just procedures and memory. And if I can get Pilot to ATC working again, I'll make a video on that. Otherwise, just look back at the videos of me doing my world trip with the TBM where it's active. And yes, it does act up. It's voice recognition, so it does act up. And it's a little iffy. You know, it's like contact tower on. Sometimes they don't tell me to contact tower and all that, but it's not super complicated. But if I can find a way to do ATC video, I will, but in the meantime I can't. But that's how GPS works. I will cover VNav probably at a later date and ILS at a later date. And I'm going to do a radio nav like VOR to VOR, only I'm going to do one of them. No one ever does that. It's hard, but hopefully you guys found that useful. That's the basics. You got to remember. Clicky center, inner dial, outer dial, what they do, and how to navigate the menus. That's the hardest part, right? Once you got that down, it's pretty easy. And the second issue is just figuring out a flight plan. So many people ask that. So many people ask that. Here, we'll bring this over. Here's the flight plan. Here's the route we took. And we took off from this runway. From Faribault. Oh, fucking hell. We took off. We circled out. We circled around. There's the line, right? The planned flight path, the gray line here, and the dotted line is what we actually flew. It didn't work. We intersected it, and there we go. It hit that. Bloop. There's that sharp turn I was talking about. The plane went. Hit that. Flew in. Landed. Circled around here. Normally I'd have ILS set up and we would have done an ILS approach, but we didn't. And that's how that works. The number one question is, how do I file a flight plan? How do I do the GPS? Well, X-Plane 11, same as Microsoft Flight Sim, they don't give you this information. It's all in the sim, but they don't hand it to you. People are like, okay, how do I... The fuck? You know, you have to use third-party programs. You have to use third-party software. You have to treat the sim like it's real. It's like, well, if I was going to make a real flight, well, how would I file the flight plan, right? Little nav map actually takes all the information out of the simulator itself when you first install it, whether you fly FSX, X-Plane 11, or whatever. It asks you, which one are you using after you install the plugin. It pulls all the information out of the sim and puts it into this program. Yeah, you still get the nav data out of date bullshit, but that doesn't matter. Of course it's out of date, right? It's a simulator. But it takes all that information, so everything you see, literally everything you see on this program, matches the simulator once it's paired, because all the information is pulled from the simulator. So everything in here, all these little points, all the codes, you know, all this information over here, terminal VR type 111.20 for the VR, whatever that is. That's gonna match in sim because it takes all this information from the simulator. It makes the simulator, it assumes the simulator's real world up to date, and it installs it into this. So if you have this paired, everything in here is going to match for the most part. Sometimes approaches are a little off. It depends on depending on the plane you're using. But for the most part, it's 100% accurate. And that's why I like this program. You need something like this. There's nothing like this in the game. So when someone asks, well, how do I file a flight plan? Well, yeah, you can file a flight plan. Even actually filing a flight plan in stock X-Plane 11 is bullshit. The ATC is horrible. It's completely broken, and it'll never be fixed. But that's why you use third party. But as far as figuring out the flight plan, there's no tools. There's no tools in any of these simulators. So like flying VOR to VOR in a plane that just uses radio nav. I tried doing that in Flight FSX. Impossible. You have to know which ones to do. You need a third program. And I'm hoping Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 or whatever it is, the new one implements something like this. Something like a little nav map, like a flight planner that shows you all of it. But up until this point, no sim gives you that information. They're assuming you're an airplane nerd. You know how to figure it out in real world because it's a simulator, and it'll allow you to enter the information, but it doesn't tell you the information. You gotta find it on your own, and that's why I have this program, Little Nav Map. It's unbelievably useful. As you can see, we zoom out. It's not just America. It's the entire goddamn planet. So, yeah. It's very complicated, as you can see. You figure out your flight plan. You figure out where you're going, where you're leaving from, the approaches, departures, all that bullshit. Even the elevation, you can enter that in. Obviously, this wasn't right. See, it's this down here is You can fine tune this, and then you take that information and then you use it to plug it into your fucking plane in the game. There's other things out there like this, but this is the best one I found. So, for anyone again that's asked, how do I figure out how to do a flight plan? You don't do it in the sim because the sim doesn't allow you to. You can program it into your GPS or FMC, but figuring it out, no, not in sim. Hopefully the new one does, but until the meantime, Little Nav Map or something else, but I like this one, allows you to do that. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully this is working for you, I guess, for lack of a better word. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments and I'll do my best. But until then, hopefully, like I said, I'm not rambling, this made sense. Fly safe, and I'll see you on the flip side. By all means, let me know if you need any more information. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, bros.